wastelands are all forgotten. There's nothing left to shed a tear. Time wielded like a spyglass. Time wielded like a spear. There is no concept of tomorrow. Not for millennia, not for millions of years. We found you now from across the plain. You fell in your task, and the kings are to blame. You blew it up, but we're here to mend. Our knowledge is vast, and time is our friend. We came as benevolent observers. We are mind and machine. We are so distant from the cradle. If you only knew what remains to be seen. But we found you now from across the plain. You failed in your task, and the kings are to blame. You blew it up, but we're here to mend. Our knowledge is vast, and time is our friend.
You can hear us now.
They can hear us. They can see us. It's amazing.
Hey, welcome to High Fives and Deep Dives. Hagen disappeared, and that's fine.
Nothing new there.
Nothing new. We're used to it. I'm your host, Blake. You should know that by now. We've got a couple of guests here today. Producer Hagen gets to be on camera.
Woo!
So
I got permission.
He's got permission. Then I've got Jonah Harmon.
Hello.
He's a drummer extraordinaire. Plays with Captain Moon and the Silver Spoons, Dream Fever, Both Sides, Twig Eaters, other things that we couldn't think of at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So say hey, Jonah.
Hello. Thanks for
No,
having me,
sorry. He
guys.
said, "Hey, just say hey,
I said
Jonah."
hey.
Hey,
It's a-
hey.
Thanks. All right, we'll take that again from the top. Roll it back. Roll it back.
Yeah, sorry. We'll start that all over again.
All right, we're here today. I brought some drummers to talk about drum fills. So, just like that, drum fills.
Could I perhaps?
Yeah.
Yeah, is that a fill? That's the question.
Is that a fill? Okay. Now that
what's-
can we talk about that?
Yeah. What's a drum fill? So we're
Because-
just gonna posit the question, and then we'll run back and forth. So give me some answers, guys. What's a drum fill?
I don't know if I can answer it, but that question is the reason that I wasn't able to. Like, my favorite drummer isn't on my list because Matt Gartzka, while doing insane stuff like at all times, is also serving the song. Like,
Sure,
every
100%.
other member is like with him. So
Right.
is it a fill? I don't know.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So I think that I encountered the same problem with a couple of examples that I had. What really kind of threw me was. Yes, those instances where you're listening to like a prog tune and the guitar player's doing some shit and the drummer's is basically doing the exact same thing,
Right.
or like, kind of just playing nasty over it. It's not doesn't really count as a fill in my head because it's a part. It becomes part writing
Right.
versus like a fill versus
Right.
like trying to go, hey, we're going to the next section, so I'm going to do this thing now, or not even maybe the next section, but just like I want to make a big impact of what is about to happen, kind of thing. It becomes more part writing versus that. I think the other thing for me is it's why it's not on here for mine. We'll get to it, but the Songs for the Dead, Queens of the Stone Age drum intro.
Yeah.
It's filled with things that you could say sounds like a drum fill, but it's a drum intro. It's
Yeah.
it's starting the song, right? So none of that to me counts as a fill per se. But I do think the definition of fill is tough because if you like look it up, they're going to be like it has to get you to the next part of the song type shit, right?
Right. And like I was saying before, like Garska has been my favorite for a while, just
Right.
as a drummer, but all of his parts are either like specifically serving the song, or it's like a drum break,
Right.
or it's an intro.
It becomes like
like a different
a drum
so-
feature or some shit
Right.
like that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Totally. Yeah. So I think for me, what if I was to truly define drum fill? I think it would have to be a moment of the song that is featured drums as like a perhaps prominent-ish. But it can't be long. It can't be that long, right? And it also can't be maybe not can't, but shouldn't be the exact same thing the rest of the band is playing, because
Okay,
then it
so,
doesn't
like,
feel
So when the drums take the focus from the overall phrase like to the drums, it becomes
more of that fill
it's
idea.
not a fill anymore.
Oh yes, but if it's too long, then it can't be a fill.
Right.
That's the other thing. Is that when you're like, when do you talk about solo, or when do you talk
Yeah.
about that kind of thing? So like, is a two like I would say there are like 2 measure drum fills,
Yeah.
but I would also say that I would also question, are there 4 measure drum fills? That feels
well, I guess not. Yeah, I
that
guess
feels
that's
too
fair.
long, right?
Yeah. Because I guess a fill is just supposed to like end a phrase, like tie 2 phrases together. That's like, but I don't know.
But it could be long, and it could be a measure of just drums, right? But it is a loose definition, right? Students ask me all the time. They're like, or when we get to fills, they're like, is this a fill? Is this a fill? I'm like, really, kind of anything's a fill, and nothing is a fill.
So I'm just a dumb guitar player.
Isn't that Plato?
Yeah, I
I-
think so.
There's a flow chart for me. It starts right here with can I play it?
Okay,
If I can play it, chances are not a fill.
fair enough.
After that, who
Fair
knows?
enough.
I think that's one of the biggest things with drum fills that I really like. I try to drill into myself, to students, and now I think maybe still of like when we like, I think some of these examples are probably going to be pretty cool, crazy drum fills, like hard to play shit.
Yeah.
But I do think that some of the best drum fills, they're not on my list, are just flam, like
Yeah, there's
And that's where my list comes in.
okay. Should we?
Yeah. We're gonna start. I told Jonah to bring in 5 tunes, so I'm gonna let him kind of give us the rundown. We're gonna start with
Okay.
Jonah, what do we got?
I feel like this is pretty standard, quote unquote, within the box of what a fill is. I guess if that makes sense. It does. Man, it's one of my favorite Peart fills, but I don't know. I kind of want to just let it speak for itself first.
What's the song?
Yeah, give us the song and the drummer.
La Via Strangiato, and the drummer is Neil Peart.
Okay. Let's give it a listen. Yeah. Okay.
Right.
That is such a great example of a drum fill
See what I
because
mean?
we got 3 different fills there.
Yeah.
Two of them were over the bar line, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the last one was also over the bar line, but it was extended, and it was like, whoa, this is gnarly. This is like that's actually taking you places. That's brilliant.
And like the phrasing throughout that whole part of the song uses that like over the bar line type of fill, even if it's not as like
showy, perhaps.
huge.
Yeah.
Even if it's just like the 4, like the
Yeah.
It's just,
That was
you know,
great.
yeah,
That was a great
it's one of
fill.
my favorite
So,
things that he's done.
Neil Peart is a fascinating drummer anyway because he's also a lyricist.
Right.
So
That's why. Sorry.
it's like an instrumental song,
Mm-hmm.
but his mindset is how does this move a song forward in general, regardless of the drum part.
That's why.
So everything he's playing is meticulous, and it's a part. You see this live; it's the same
Mhm.
fill,
Mhm.
but it's stereotypical fill is a harsh term, it seems, but just let's run through the toms.
Well, I mean, when you look at the idea of stereotypical snare tom across the kit, right?
yeah.
You hear that one way, but you didn't hear it that way.
Yeah.
That's not the way you heard that, Phil. In your head when you think about that, that's brilliant. That's what that is. And I never thought about that as far as like how he constructs it being the fact that he's a lyricist. That makes perfect sense.
I'm pretty sure that's why Phil Collins was his favorite drummer, because that was one of the things about Phil's playing off of like Selling England by the Pound and like Foxtrot and like that era of Genesis is all of it. It's still lyrical, even though he only like harmonizes with Peter.
Yeah.
All of his notes are still, even after like late Genesis,
Right.
But yeah.
Yeah, that's super rad. That is I'm like this. I have your list in front of me, so I know what's coming.
Yeah.
But I know all of these. I know these bands, but I don't know all these songs. And I'm like, to me, when I look at this stuff, I'm like, when I look at Rush, I don't think to myself like, oh, it's gonna be this kind of like, oh, just. I guess like for lack of a better term, like simple or assumed fill, but it was in a brilliant light. So that's super refreshing to hear a Rush song that's like this sounds complicated, but in reality is kind of simple too.
Right,
It's
right.
very cool.
And you only have to wait 7 minutes for it.
That is exactly right. That is that's so funny. Okay, do you want to hit your next one?
Which one is it?
You have the
Oh, love this one. Gavin Harrison. I think he's currently still playing with Crimson.
I
Is he still in the lineup?
believe so.
Okay.
I'm not positive.
He was when I saw him. I think I saw him in 19 in Tennessee. That was such a cool show. But yeah, both of the Gavin Harrison fills that I picked serve the same purpose. Like they do the same, I guess they serve the same purpose. It's
Sure.
the same tool that he used for these 2 specific songs. But yeah, this one is off the album In Absentia from Porcupine Tree.
it's the creator
Creator
has
had
a
a
master.
master
Okay,
tape,
cool.
yeah.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah, a lot of fun. He's so clean.
I want to hit that again.
Yeah.
he's so
Can I
clean.
play it?
I want to hit that one more time. That was fucking gnarly. God. Yeah,
man.
clean is the right. Gavin Harrison is clean.
So good.
Yeah, that that to me is like you could have hit that. I don't know what it came from to get to that but up section, but you could have gone from that but up to just like just crash into it, right?
Yeah.
Just crash right in.
But
And
no, that's what I mean. Like, and the other fill comes from that same type of like, because it came from the song to that break.
Yeah.
You know, landed there, and then he picked it back up with the fill, and like, I don't know, it, like the way that he chooses to.
the subdivision choice is really interesting too on that too. It's like you would maybe like you would hear that section perhaps as a bad example or good. It's in like let's say a Dream Theater song, and you know you're hearing like right.
Yeah.
It's like that's fine, but that's not that's so clean and just not the expectation of that section.
Yeah, great choices. That's why I love. He's one of my favorites too.
Yeah.
When I was listening to it, I kind of took the mental note. That feels like a Neil school of thought. Like I feel a lot of Rush
Oh yeah.
in that fill.
And you know, and I bet maybe from the length of it too.
Sure.
Yeah, the length of it doesn't because it's not just it's not it's I think it's 2 bars there. It's solid. That's like that definitely is akin to that Rush example we just heard too. That's great.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Oh yeah, I didn't think of that as that's a lyrical way of like putting the phrase in there. That's cool.
I'm a big fan of Gavin Harrison, although I don't listen to him as much as I should. But like every time I have listened to anything Gavin Harrison's been a part of, it's like the perfect part. He grooves like a motherfucker.
Dude, yeah.
And then this kind of fill is like, well, I'm sorry, who in their right fucking mind thought of that?
Just wait for them. There's one more Gavin Harrison fill on here.
Okay.
We're gonna get there. Here's another another 8-minute wait for the next two.
And we're sitting here for 8 fucking minutes and doing it, all right? What's the next one?
So this is The Grudge by Tool. This is at the very end of the song. So actually about, almost 8.5 minutes you have to wait for this fill. But it's one of the most like, well, I'll just let it. Just go ahead.
Okay.
It's just monstrous.
That fill took us into like the dark depths of hell.
Dude, it's just,
And I'll say it again. It's Neil.
That's so funny.
Honestly, yeah.
It's that thing.
Okay, I'm gonna do a cliched podcast thing. Are you ready? I'm gonna say something controversial. Are you guys ready? I'm gonna say something controversial. I don't like Tool.
I was gonna bring it up because I also struggle with Tool.
That's impressive
No,
sounds.
that's totally fair. I don't blame anybody for not. I'll just leave it at that because that's all.
I think that's totally, that's the perfect response. Sorry to all Tool fans. I think that there's a really good chance that I just haven't heard the right stuff, and there's a really good chance that I haven't given them enough of a chance.
There's a really good chance that Tool fans, like. You say sorry to all Tool fans, but I feel like they started. Yeah, I feel like they started it. You know,
I'll say the only reason I said sorry to all Tool fans is that Ian in YouTube chat said tisk to me. So
sorry, Ian.
That's why I said sorry.
we get it. We don't. It's not for everybody. That's fine. But
I think there are
that feels insane though. Right?
There are 2 incredibly talented people in that band. Danny's one of them. I'll let you all speculate on in a second.
Yeah. Ian said someone once described Danny Carey of having the devil inside of him, and he tries his best to make him escape when he drums.
Yeah. I love the fact that he tried to fight a guy at a basketball game.
Oh jeez, forgot about that.
He's kind of a wild card guy.
I don't. there's a lot of things that I have heard of Tool that just like it just doesn't click for me in that way as far as like the prog world. That's
fair.
But when I hear stuff like that, that's a Phil that like for all intents and purposes like doesn't need to be there. But when it's there, holy fuck, that's awesome.
It's complete elevation.
Yeah.
Like
I hear, the first thing I think is his drums sound great.
Yeah, you can hear each fucking tom.
They like for that album specifically, he would like change heads. I don't know if it was after each take or
What
like
a fucking nightmare.
Yeah, no,
Sounds awful.
right. But when you listen to that, his drums on this, I'm pretty sure this is the album that got him. Yeah, Takes and Leeches. I don't know if you've heard that song, Hagen.
I have not.
Dude,
Okay.
that's one of those like, as a drummer, you just regardless of how you feel about it, you can hate it. You got to hear it.
Okay. I'll make sure to go back and I'll listen to that. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's a song that got him an award
Okay.
to begin. Maybe I don't know. I'd
Sure.
have to,
Sure.
but yeah, crazy
Okay.
stuff.
All right. Well, I'll put that in the old mind tank, and I'll come back to that.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah, that was great. That was great. I mean, that like seriously, that felt like I was just like falling, like in like the heaviness of the tune already to just go whoa.
Yeah, it's a
And not from
Leviathan.
like a sub bass drop or anything like that, right? Like that's so heavy. That's so cool.
Yeah, great movement for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, Tool's all right.
That's so funny.
All right, hit us with the next one.
Okay,
Jonah.
so this is the next Gavin Harrison one. I think it's a couple albums afterward. Same band, might be the same lineup, but same type of tool that Gavin uses, where like they have the first section of the song, and then there's just like not necessarily a bridge, but the dynamics come down, and he uses a fill to come back.
Okay.
And this fill was my introduction to this band at all. I was in high school, and a friend of mine came up to me and was like, "Dude, check this out."
Can I just real quick? Can I ask how long have you been playing for? I don't know that.
What is
You're taking too long.
what year is it? I started playing drum set in like 8th grade.
Did you do percussion before that?
Yeah,
Okay.
6th grade percussion. So like about 2 years of
Sure.
glockenspiel and practice pad, and then
And how old are you? And what's your mother's maiden name? And
I just turned 27. So like,
okay,
some math on that. I know it's more than. around
so it's,
15.
that's got to be around somewhere between 15 and 20, somewhere between that.
Somewhere around there,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm like just about 15. I'm just about 15 years of playing drums. A little more than that, but
a little bit more.
it's right about 15 years, and it's interesting because like when you say that this was your introduction to Gavin Harrison and in 8th grade you said
No,
this was
I heard this in high school.
In high
It
school,
was
okay, okay.
Yeah, like maybe junior year.
that's still crazy. Like I think about like stuff that you would hear like stuff that I heard at that time, and I'm like it really does shape a lot.
Yeah, I found Tool in sophomore year.
Yeah.
So it's hard to,
Do you know when you found Rush?
Well, Rush is actually kind of like my relationship with that band is kind of interesting because my dad would play it. And
Gotcha.
I didn't know that it was Rush.
Okay.
And then years later, like freshman year of high school, maybe 8th grade, friend of mine, puts on Rush, and I'm like,
Yeah.
whoa, I know. Wait, Spirit of Radio. I know this song.
Yeah.
I didn't know how I knew it, but like as soon as it started playing, I was like,
That was Led Zeppelin for me. That was the
okay, yeah.
same
Yeah,
same
that's
type
fair.
shit. Yeah. Okay, let's hit this time. This time.
cool, yeah. Not that part.
I'm so ready.
Yeah, sorry, no. I
Relax. What the fuck?
yeah. Yeah.
Jesus.
And that's one of my favorite things about Gavin is his bell, his like I don't know what Zill bells or
Yeah.
like
Does he have just standalone bells, or does
He
he?
has like it's built like stairs. It's like a
Oh.
pyramid thing. Yeah,
What
he has
the
like
fuck?
5 or 7 of them, and just they all sound
So
I-
almost like crotales.
almost,
Yeah.
Kind of
but
vibe.
like less pitchy, more like Zill bells, but they're more pitchy than Zill
Yeah,
bells.
yeah.
It's weird, yeah.
That's really interesting.
But yeah, such a good sound, and he uses it so well throughout like the album from before. And,
Yeah.
like, yeah, crazy
That-
stuff.
Well, and it's always a great like talking about like some of the other stuff of like, oh, some of these fills sound like stuff that you would guess would happen in a song. I love even like listening to music as long as I have, being a musician as long as I have, being a drummer as long as I have. I love when I hear drummers use a cymbal well in a fill.
You're gonna okay. I got you.
Because that is just like I was listening to a song today where it was a break in a song. It was a full band stop, and the first noise you hear is a left foot hi-hat tap into a flam, and I'm like, oh my god, it's not even the flam that's gnarly, it's the left foot tap. That's the coolest shit. Like, oh god.
Left foot, dude.
Is another example too of just how good his drums sound.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
real.
There's a ton of clarity.
Yeah, and he had that same type of setup when I saw him play with Crimson. At the they played Schizoid Man last, and then at the crazy part, Gavin took a drum solo, and
Yeah.
just
Ugh.
wow. But just like throwing those bells in because he had like the full setup, dude.
Crazy.
So good.
That
So
is
good.
wild. That is wild. We have in Twitch chat, McLeod said drums are an enigma to me. I think he's in the right place then.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Next one.
So this one is the perfect segue, I guess, to like from what you were saying about tasteful cymbal use.
Yeah.
Because this is like one of the actually, Blake, here's where you might be wrong. Because you might be able to play this drum fill.
Okay, I'll look at the flow chart when it's done.
And, and this is one of my favorite this is one of my favorite fills, but it's like subversive, like a less is more
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it also taught me a lot about like tension and release in music and like how to build the tension properly so
Yeah.
that it can, you'll
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. And what is this
Oh,
song
sorry.
called?
Song is Fracture by
Okay.
King Crimson.
Yeah.
Like
Like
whoa. I mean, that's like band hits that didn't exist and then he made them exist. So that's brilliant.
yeah.
Absolutely brilliant. Yeah, that is exactly like the use of a cymbal in something that's just working.
And it's straight up dotted eighths. It's
Yeah.
just psst,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
it's
that's
just so,
brilliant.
So good.
You can play that.
No, not a chance.
I think you could. I think
Jonah.
you could play it.
Joan, we are in a band together. You should know by now that I 1000% cannot count.
You don't have to count. We hit, Angel, well, boom, boom. We hit like plenty of unison hits.
It's nonsense for me. I'm making clangy bits. And I have to make eye contact with you to know that it's happening.
Okay. Yeah, all right, that's fair.
King Crimson
that's
is my enigma. I don't know how to get into it. I
really?
hear stuff and I'm like, this is great. And then I try to lock in and I just can't do it.
Well,
So
that honestly is fair. Like King Crimson for me was yeah. King Crimson for me was good while I was going through the discography, but once I finished it, I didn't find myself revisiting very much.
sure.
But like, Discipline, Thrack, Perfect Pair. I mean, like, I'm a huge Adrian Belew fan,
Yeah.
so that makes some stuff easier. But,
Thrack
like,
was an interesting that you actually showed me. I've kind of been obsessed with Ornette Coleman.
okay.
He's got an album called Free Jazz that's 2 quartets in the left and right channel.
Yeah, that's pretty much
that
what.
plays concurrently.
Yeah.
It's a little more chaotic than Thrak is.
Yeah, I
but
think Thrak is just two trios.
two trios,
Yeah.
and they're very different things happening on both sides, and it's
Yeah.
a fascinating listen.
Yeah, really
But
cool.
King Crimson sounds like they're good at their instruments, and the stuff that I listen to is guys who are good at their instruments who sound like they're not.
A man of taste.
Is that your perfect segue into talking about your Phil selection now?
That's where we're gonna kind of land. Yeah.
But I think I do real quick want to say, like, I think that there is, like, so all of your selections, Jonah, come from prog bands. And I think there's probably a bit of maybe not a stigma, but there's an assumption of what people are going to hear when they go, oh, cool, I'm going to listen to a bunch of fucking prog bands do some shit. Yeah. And none of that was like the assumption. None of that was the assumption of, oh, I like this Phil is going to be some. It was all crazy. It's not all, but some of it was crazy. But it wasn't crazy in the sense of I can't even begin to like if you watch, you talk about Gartzka. If you watch Gartzka do something, it's like, what the fuck am I? What's the point of any of this, right?
A little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's what that I think that's really cool that all of those fills were not that way.
Right.
It's really good.
Like, according to my flowchart, everything Matt Garska does is a fill.
But that, honestly, that's fair. I mean, if you say he's doing, because if he,
I think we should find a new word for it, because fill in itself sounds like you are filling for something, or so you're filling the space, right? And if you're just playing a part that sounds like a fill, but it doesn't actually fill the space for something, it just is a part writing, then like are you filling, or are you just jerking off?
That's right? I left one of my favorite drummers off of my list because he is a part writer.
Yeah.
So things are meticulously placed. This isn't,
I think that's
like a moment for the drums to shine.
Right.
I think we figured it out, guys. We just had to stop thinking about it so much. It just fills. If it fills the space, then it's a fill.
That's it.
Yeah.
Damn it.
All right. So we talked a little bit about Jonah's drum history. Again, dumb guitar player, but my dad's a drummer.
Okay, yeah.
So I was hearing drums forever.
Yeah.
Like, dad played in bands when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
He was obsessed with Pink Floyd and Rush. So I was hearing great drummers forever. And just kind of stuck with me. So I'm fascinated with drums and bad at them. So play guitar.
Did you have a stint where you played drums in like a hardcore band?
Yeah, for a minute. And again, bands that sound bad, I'm your guy. Like, I'm not good at it.
That's great.
I can play loud for 3 minutes though.
Have you ever played drums for Gophers?
No.
No? Dude, that'd be so fun.
Just guitar and theremin.
That would be so
Guitar and theremin is enough.
Yeah. Close enough to drums.
Yeah.
So
concerto for guitar and theremin.
almost all of the fills on my list are way simpler than Jonah's list.
Okay.
Also, every timestamp he has is further into a song than the entire length of any song.
Well,
So,
can you play any of these? Any of your chosen fills?
yeah, 3 of the 5 maybe.
Are they? Okay. All
Yeah.
right.
Well,
we'll get into it.
let's see. Let's hear these
So,
fuckers.
I went chronological because I didn't know
Okay. Yeah.
how to put these in an order that meant a lot to me. First track I've got, guitar player. Heard a lot of Hendrix. Weirdly, not a big fan of Hendrix as a guitar player. Here's my hot take for the night.
Love it.
But he's got a drummer named Mitch Mitchell in the Jimi Hendrix Experience, who plays maybe the greatest fill of the 60s in Little Wing at the 30-second mark.
Okay.
So it's a great way to get into a verse.
Well, she's walking.
Yeah.
Just a perfect lyrical fill.
Yeah. That's absolutely. That's it. That's those kind of accented fills like that. That's all you need, baby. That's it. That's everything.
Everything stops for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then it's just like, here we go. New section.
Yeah.
Well, that's one of the that's kind of a double-edged sword from Mitch Mitchell for me, is that, like, obviously very good drummer, but almost always failing.
Yeah.
Sure.
You know, like
Yeah.
I heard something Stuart Copeland said. He was just talking about like, you know, great drummers and like how Mitchell was didn't serve the song, was just like always going
Right.
because Jimmy didn't necessarily write like songs. He wrote opportunities for the band to play,
Yeah.
I guess.
Right,
you
yeah.
know? So, but
Yeah.
yeah.
I think that is it's a dangerous thing to always be filling, but that kind of fill is like that is actually a. And
Yeah.
we're going to the next place now, and a person can hear that non-drummer, drummer, guitar player, bass player, and go, yeah, we are we got there, right,
And it's recorded in 68.
right.
That's not a click track because that drags.
You could
Yeah.
no, you
Like,
could
it just pulls you back.
Yeah.
And then lets you
That's-
just slide right back into everything.
that's what we call feel, ladies
Yeah,
and
yeah.
gentlemen.
That is one thing about Mitchell I do love always is the feel
Yeah.
from him.
So we'll transition from that. My second song is Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers song. Stan
Okay.
Lynch is, I think, an underrated drummer.
Wait, can you play the Mitchell Phil, you think?
No,
I think you could.
I couldn't
It's all
slow
feel.
it down and drag like that.
That's fair. Okay.
Couldn't.
I think you do.
The track I've got from Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, Don't Do Me Like That, I could play.
Okay.
So, and it's right at the top
Right
of
at
the
the
song.
top. Let's check this out. Let's see this one. Yeah.
So good.
You know why I think you could play it, because it's I don't think that it's like technically harder than that Jimi Hendrix one, but you can play it because it's like singable.
Yeah.
It's like it's
Absolutely.
you could ba da brum da da. You have the band hits that help you get there.
Yeah.
It's really good. Yeah.
One of my favorite drum sounds in general.
Oh, yeah,
From this
100%.
album.
Yeah.
It's from Damn the Torpedoes, 1979.
Yeah.
So good.
You know, I want to hear that one more time. I want to hear those tom sounds again.
Pearl drums, concert
yeah.
toms, no bottom heads.
It's not Danny Carey's drums, but okay. Just kidding.
I'll say this: Stan Lynch probably sold more records.
That's that's totally fair.
I think that is definitely like those. The more that the more you listen to those toms, like, oh yeah, that sounds like those tom sounds are incredible.
Yeah.
And especially in just that of just like, I think that if I was try to play that now in a song, I'd be like, I don't know, does this feel cheesy? But you hear that in that context, it's like,
Well,
that's
yeah.
just fucking right.
When
Yeah, it's perfect.
When did that come out?
1979.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
I don't know. Sometimes I wonder if time is a part of reason is a reason why I think stuff sounds cheesy. But like I think in the right context that can still work today. It just is very like
Yeah.
context dependent.
Yeah. You just have to do it differently, I guess. But like, you could still, I don't know. Time is definitely,
Yeah.
like a factor to it because.
It's some kind of factor, but I don't know how deep that runs, because like I think that like I think the part you would have to change the most in this are those hits. So if the band wasn't doing bump bump, and if those were the band hits and then you decide to go boom, it's like, well, yeah, that's one, the same thing, and two, it's cheesy. But if the band hits were different or in a different context, that kind of fill can work super well. Because I mean, I'm gonna steal something from you, Blake. Okay, I was re-listening to one of the other episodes, and you use a word really well. It was
Okay.
Counting Crows. It's effective. It's so effective.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I heard you say that about something with the Counting Crows, I think, or maybe it was Third Eye Blind, but I think it was Counting Crows, and I was like, that's such a perfect way to describe such a, for lack of a better term, simple thing, right?
Yeah.
It's effective. It does the job it needs to do.
I think if you ask somebody, hey, sing me Don't Do Me Like That by Tom Petty,
Yeah.
they're gonna sing that drum fill
yeah.
at the top.
Right. Yeah.
Yes,
That's
it's
very
very,
true. Yeah.
Like, it's such a signature part of that song.
That's very true.
So, and I think Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers is the greatest American rock band of all time.
Yeah.
Personally,
I think that's a great take. That's not hot at all. That's a totally very, very reasonable take.
all right. And now we'll transition into the second greatest American rock band of all time. That is absolutely not true. This next song is the song that made me realize, oh, I probably can't be a drummer.
Okay.
So we're looking at 2002, 2003.
Really? That year? Oh, damn. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I kind of get into our local hardcore metalcore scene,
Okay.
playing mostly guitar, but I have a band like, hey, we don't have a drummer. I was like, okay, I got this. And this is the song. They're like, hey, learn this this song. This song is called Memphis Will Be Laid to Waste by Norma Jean.
Okay.
So, and this is this a fill? 100% applies to this because it's a section more than a fill.
Okay.
Let's go ahead and hit 335.
All right.
Yeah.
God, that oh, that feels like fucking early 2000s.
Yeah.
Let's
That's
go.
That's
Fuck,
2000,
that's awesome.
2002 all day.
Oh, that's so good.
So that's a guy named Daniel Davison,
okay.
who's a great drummer.
Yeah.
Ended up replacing Aaron Gillespie in Under Oath
Oh, dang.
for a couple of albums.
Yeah.
Oh, nice pick, Blake.
Yeah, Ian's loving.
I figured that was going to be up Ian's
Yeah.
alley for sure.
So I up the conversation of is that a drum fill?
No, it's not.
It's not. But
So I think the thing that I like about it is that it feels like a part, but all these little like he'll do the little open hi hats, little bell hits.
Yeah.
Those are fills in
Right,
the
in the
context
drum
of,
part.
but that part is moving enough that you can just do a simple fill, like just a little tss right there. Doom, 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 tss. That's enough, right?
yeah, because if you did that part, like you have the same guitar part and he just has like the groove under it, and then he does that tom part at the end, like it would be a fill.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
doom, doom, and then go back. And
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that for sure. I think that is not, but what it leads to is really cool things in drum parts where you don't need to have crazy things to be fills.
Right.
It's like that part is whoa, that's a great part. I think the way it starts, it feels like it doesn't feel like it's about to be another part. It feels like it's a fill the way
Right.
it starts. It's almost like a false start type of thing, right? That's pretty cool. McLeod in Twitch says a Fleet Foxes drum fill is actually just FJM accidentally dropping his sticks on the snare.
That's fair. That's fair. A cool thing to note about this song, it's one of my favorite stories, and I think you're going to appreciate this a lot.
Okay.
I saw Norma Jean in, we'll say 2013.
Okay, great.
They have replaced Daniel Davison with a drummer who had previously been in a band called Fear Before the March of Flames that
Yep.
I love.
Yep.
A guy named Clayton Holyoke, Goose
Goose
from Better Lovers.
Goose.
Every
Let's
time
go,
I
Goose.
I got to watch him play this song, That Groove,
Yeah.
in a room about the size of the room we're in right now.
Holy.
That's so
about,
fucking cool.
about 30 people.
Oh, that's
I
amazing.
I for sure sweated on that guy.
That's amazing.
I also, if it matters to either of you, Night Versus opened to that show.
yeah,
so
yeah.
I saw Eric and Prada
that is
in
so
a
cool.
tiny room.
God
It was
damn.
pretty wild.
That is amazing.
Goose is one of my favorite drummers.
Yeah.
I loved him in Fear Before the March of Flames.
Goose is so good.
He didn't make this list for me.
Yeah, yeah. Because, and I'm gonna assume, but because he is all part writing.
Yeah,
Because
But
I listened to a few tracks from my list, and I was like a few Every Time I Die and Better Lovers tracks, and I was like, man, it's just the parts. I just love his fucking parts he's playing. That's all. That's what I want here.
Yeah.
So yeah.
so good. All right, so we're gonna move on to number 4, the surprise pick from Blake for tonight. This is a Wilco song. This is Glenn Cochie.
Oh, you listen to Wilco?
No, it's actually the first time I found it for this. I definitely didn't plan a Don't Feed the Artist field trip in May.
Oh man. Okay.
So this tune is called "Shake It Off."
No relation.
No relation to anything. So this is a 2 minute 35 second. This is
Okay.
going to be sort of the chorus.
Okay, here we go.
Shake it off. Shake it off.
We got this right here.
Shake it off.
Yes, sir.
Shake it off.
That's a lot of fun.
That's
Mm-hmm.
the kick hits are the same thing as like
Yeah.
those that's the same shit. That's fucking great.
Just
my
two cowbell hits.
God, that was fucking great.
Very cool.
He's the best. Glenn Kochi is the best.
Glenn Kochi
Very
is
cool.
insane. I'll hot take that. I don't like the cymbal sounds in any of that, but the drums
it's-
sound great. The drums sound really good.
There's a.
What was wrong with the cymbal sounds?
Play it again. Let him listen because
maybe-
they are trashy.
Yeah, they kind of remind me of like ZBTs, like really cheap.
Okay.
Yeah.
Glenn Kochi has a lot of prepared instruments.
Yeah. That was fine. Don't like that one.
Shake it off. Shake it off.
That's fucking sick, dude.
Shake it off.
Yeah, that's great. That's
Yeah.
so good.
So I went through a bunch of Wilco. Just
Yeah.
Because
Glenn
again,
Kochi.
why wouldn't I?
Yeah, of course.
And that's where I landed, really specifically for those two cowbell hits.
Yeah. McLeod
Yeah.
said it kind of sounds like someone dropped all their silverware.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. That's perfect. Chances are that's probably a box of silverware that Glenn dropped. he's that kind of drummer.
Yeah, for those who don't know his Instagram,
Dude, I love watching this stuff.
oh my god, whenever he posts anything, it's like this is the craziest fucking like who would have ever thought of any of this?
So if you have the time,
good.
both of
Yeah.
you, there's a great YouTube video. It's about 35 minutes. That's just Glenn Kochi going over parts for their 2018 album, Ode to Joy.
Mm.
And it's just on tour. He's got all these
my
gadgets
God.
and marching machines and crazy stuff.
Do you guys know? Having all of this stuff reminds me of a. Do you guys know a drummer named Trillock Gertu?
No,
That
sounds like a D&D character.
It does.
that is fair.
Level 8.
There's a. He has a lot of solo stuff out because he's been playing like forever. But he's one of those drummers that like, wonky sounds and like he was in a trio with who's that crazy guitar player? John McLaughlin.
John McLaughlin is a crazy guitar player.
I think that's him. And then Trillock's a drummer, and then there's this bass player that I don't know the name of, but it was like
Yeah,
a
bass player.
mid.
That's all you need, just bass
sorry.
player.
Well, he was
Sorry,
insane
Dave.
as well, but I don't know. I didn't know his name because I was just watching Trillock because like he's crouched down, doesn't have a kick drum. He's just crouched down in this like
What the fuck?
cocoon of drums and cymbals and stuff, and his hands are so good that he'll hit like a weird drum that sounds
Yeah.
like the kick with
That's
the emphasis.
crazy.
And like his drums aren't even actually like drums. It's just like a square plate, the head.
Oh,
It's a lot of those. Like
Damn.
and like dude,
drummers like that fuck me up. That's crazy.
I got some stuff to show you guys. at some point.
Okay.
All right. So I knew I couldn't bring drum fills to the table with the two of you without some just completely off the wall
What you got?
craziness.
Oh, okay.
The Mars Volta is a
Yeah.
big band for me. Again, bands of very talented people who sound like they don't know what they're doing.
Sure.
So this is from their 2008 album, The Bedlam in Goliath. This is Thomas Pridgeon playing Wax Simulacra.
God damn.
He's so good.
That felt like it didn't stop ever. But it did. There were moments where it wasn't just nonstop playing, but it just felt like the feel was just intensity.
Yeah, at the whole. That's one of the reasons I loved. He kind of reminds me of the Rev.
Oh yeah, totally.
You know, just like
100%
from beginning to end, just a
yes,
monster.
I love that. That's a great take. That's awesome. That's perfect.
He's a great one, dude.
Thomas Pridgen is pretty off the charts. He's like an Oakland gospel kid.
Right.
okay.
Yeah. Exactly.
yeah.
It's just-
Dude, gospel drumming.
But that's like the Gartzka thing, because Gartzka came from gospel.
Oh, really?
And then went to Berkeley and then picked up metal while he was there. So he's like a gospel guy going into metal. It's crazy.
So
just already had the chops for it.
that was the lead single for that album.
That's insane. What a band.
Cool. Let's start with this. The guitars, it's hard to pay attention because the drums are wild, but
Sure.
it's just like a siren sound.
Yeah.
Hey, I mean, you won't have any misconceptions about what you're getting into.
That's very true.
You know?
That's very, very true.
So yeah, that's the 5 that I picked.
Hell yeah,
I
dude.
worked it down from a list of like 30 because that's how I operate for this sort of thing.
This is very hard for me. And so I'm looking forward to kind of starting my list off for us. But I do want to say real quick about your list that I also, like similar to Jonah's, where it's like I was expecting certain things. I wasn't expecting any of this. I was expecting the Wilco fill to be, even though it was what it was, it still wasn't what I really thought it was going to be.
No.
Like these are excellent examples of this is how you fucking fill in a song. This is musical. This isn't just about drums, right?
Yeah.
Even though the examples I'm about to show might be a little bit different. But before I do that, I do have one thing that I have to start us off with here. And that is, you're talking about kind of like where you started, you started in 8th grade, your dad was a drummer. I started playing drums because of the video game Rock Band,
Okay.
and then slowly made my way into like falling in love with certain music and all this kind of stuff. And for a lot of like people who fell in love with metal at a certain age, it was inevitable that they were going to find themselves falling in love with Metallica. So I do have something to start us off with that. That is going to be a little TikTok here of.
I'm already in pain.
Yeah, anxious. Anxious is the word I've got.
Yeah.
Okay, wait. So this is most complicated drums, Lars drum fill, and this is one of my favorite TikToks ever of this guy.
All right, you ready? I could play that.
Sorry, Lars. Blake can play it, dude.
Yeah.
In my list of 30 songs, I do have to say, Sad But True was on my list initially, just for the obnoxious snare hits.
There's so many. I think that there's stuff that he did. So that it's hard for me to say that like what he did was nothing, because he definitely inspired a lot of people. There's a lot of my favorite drummers that will cite Metallica as being a really big thing for them, and I get that. But I listen to that and I'm like, God, what have we come to?
Well, I mean, I will say that like off of studio albums, there's definitely, there's respect to be given.
There's stuff on some of those that's brilliant, and I will go back to. This is all like he is a writer. He is a writer. That's what he does the best. Not playing music. He is an excellent arranger. He can see the picture of a big picture of a song, and he can see where it needs to go, especially in the early work, I would say.
Let's time out.
Yeah.
He's like an art dealer,
Right. Yeah.
and then a writer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Art dealer, writer, so on. Okay, so
here we go.
McLeod said it perfectly. Lars inspired thousands of people who watched him play. They would look upon him in awe and whisper, "Well, I could do better than that."
Yeah.
So Metallica kind of got me into not Metallica, but specifically, but like metal was a big thing for me, and I found myself eventually going into Slipknot. This was probably about junior year of high school, so I'm 2009. I'm 10 years after the first Slipknot album.
So I got the first Slipknot album. I turned 13 in 1999. So I was the target audience for Slipknot for sure.
So I didn't listen to this album first. I listened to Volume 3, and then I went back to this first album.
Wait, okay. Isn't there? Did we just not talk about the first album?
Oh, you're talking about Mate, Feed, Kill, Repeat?
Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't count as their first album.
That's not canon.
Yeah, it's not canon.
It's not
Yeah,
canon
exactly.
Slipknot.
Yeah. This I'll change that to first studio album.
Okay.
I'll change it to first studio album.
Dude, sorry, Dogfish Rising. Have you heard that song?
Is that off of Mate, Feed,
off
Kill?
of- yeah,
I
yeah.
have been, but it's been a long time. But
Kind of reminds me of you know what I'm talking. Of course you do. It's like the most Wilco Slipknot song there is.
Yep.
It goes without saying that Joey Jordison is like incredible, but the game that I would like everyone to play here throughout most of my examples is going to be which Phil am I talking about? So I think you'll probably figure it out, but in this particular section, there's a lot.
Oh.
It's number 4, right?
It's number 4.
Yeah.
It's just the bass drum. I just want that. That's all. The other shit is so great, but it doesn't feel it feels like even though there's a break for it, it feels like, oh yeah, something should go there, but it's not getting you somewhere. That stop of not doing it on the fourth one and then doing something it's not simple, but it is in some sense of just going double bass. That's it.
It's simple. It's not easy.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Like-
Sure. Yeah.
Like, dude, that honestly reminds me of. I can't believe I didn't think about this, but Vinny.
Oh yeah.
'Cause
Totally.
There's the song "Revolution Is My Name."
Yeah.
There's a part where he does almost that same, where it's like crashes on the quarter notes with 16ths on the kick, so and
Yeah.
like choked each time. But that's also the only metal song. That's the heaviest use of cowbell. I believe,
Yeah.
is the breakdown of that song.
Right. So I think that Joey is also a great part writer. I think that there's a lot of Slipknot stuff that I try. I was like, oh, what about this? What about this? I'm like, no, this is just for the song, and it's perfect.
Yeah.
It's perfect. But this was an example of just like, God, the drums in this tune are insane. Like they are just gnarly.
So
Yeah.
it comes back to it again. I hear Rush in that.
Sure.
Now,
yeah.
it is through this filter,
True,
and you've
yeah.
kind of nailed it because I think it's Neil Peart, Alex Van Halen,
Mm-hmm.
then Vinnie Paul from Pantera, and then Joey Jordison. Like
Sure.
I think that's the path.
That's the pipeline.
to
yeah.
get there.
Yeah, for sure.
But
yeah.
it's that same.
Yeah.
It's the same movement through a lot of those fills of like that Neil Peart.
100%. So I'm going out of order of what I have here. So just to jump scare you guys. So the next example I want to give is a band called Man Man. I've talked about them a lot on our main show. I've been a big fan of them for many years. I first saw them open for Modest Mouse in 2006, 2007 at like what would be now called like Texas Trust. It's like a big theater. It was Nokia at the time. Anyway, we were there to see Modest Mouse. We were excited to see Modest Mouse, and then this band of basically similar member size to Slipknot walks out, all wearing white. They also have a large sum of instruments. They usually set up on stage in like a circle, and they usually set up with the drummer. His name at the time, the guy who was playing on this track I'll play. His name's Pow Pow, and facing the guy Honus, the lead guy. They face each other, and so the drummer's not in the back, but he's right there in the front. And
Is that how many people are in the band?
no, that is not.
Okay.
No, there's a poster behind me. That is not how many people are in Man Man. There's not like it varies. I think at the most it probably was like 8 or 9.
Oh, okay.
But it is a lot of people. And I kind of my timestamp's a little further back from where the fill is because I want to set us up. I kind of want to set us up for the whole thing. So sorry, I guess.
I mean, my songs were 8 minutes each, so
We didn't have to listen to 8 minutes of music.
that.
What the? It's so perfect.
That's almost that Mitchell thing.
Yeah, right. And it's also like I mean, you heard a snippet of what's following. It's very calm, and that was earlier in the song too. So it's like we know that this is the crazy part. It's getting crazier. It's getting crazier. It's getting crazier, and it almost isn't that tension and release because you don't really feel like it's released. You're like tension, fall.
Yeah.
It doesn't give you that like that finish. It's just like, and now we're back to where we were before, right?
So it reminds me a lot of A Day in the Life by the Beatles.
Oh, okay, yeah,
Where
yeah,
there's
yeah.
the big orchestra swell
Uh-huh.
that drops out to just like quarter note piano. It's got that
100%.
that sort of thing happening where
Yeah.
it does. There's a lot of anxiety.
Yes,
In everything.
so much, and you could hear all those instruments in that, right? You could hear how
Yeah.
big that's getting, and that's like all on stage. He's going fucking crazy, and it's like that's a lot of stuff. Is that the fill? And then he just, and then you hear that left foot again, right? That left foot tap. I'm telling you, dog. I'm telling you, that's fucking everything.
Yeah.
That's a big one. So now I'm gonna go to So this was a hard one for me. I really wanted to pick something Foo Fighters, something Queens of the Stone Age. I wanted to pick Taylor Hawkins. I wanted to pick Dave Grohl. I wanted to pick these people. They're so important to me.
Yeah.
And every Foo Fighters fill I could think of, I was like, nah, this isn't it. Like this is great, but this isn't it. And then I went and listened to some Queens of the Stone Age, and I was like, this isn't it either.
Yeah.
It doesn't perfectly encapsulate why I love these players so much. And Them Crooked Vultures is a supergroup of Josh Homme from Queens of the Stone Age, John Paul Jones from Led Zeppelin, and Dave Grohl on drums. And this song in particular is like a drum masterpiece in my mind. And I was listening to it and I was like, you know what? That is it. This is the fill, and it's quick. It's quick. So again, I'm going to give you a little bit of kind of just lead in so you can kind of hear how we got to this point. But it's still not enough, but I'll give you a little bit.
It's never enough.
That was it, actually. That's all the lead needed.
Yeah. Yeah. Hit me one more time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's probably good.
That's enough. Here we go. A little further back.
Yeah.
And the whole groove of that is like his left hand's on the hat and his right hand's on the floor tom to open up for that syncopated feel. It's a great way to play that thing. And then when he starts that fill, he almost starts it with a little bit of the Smells Like Teen Spirit thing for a second, and then still it still gives you that sinister thing, but also doing a lot with the kick. And he is a one kick guy. He's a one pedal person. He's never used double pedal. So everything it's great. It's such
crazy,
a yeah. This is also the time when he's doing like the bunch of coffee. So
Right.
it's fresh pots. Exactly. This was the fresh pots time. So this was his foot was working in like quadruple time at this point. So
The interview he did with Pharrell Williams, where he reveals that he stole everything he does from disco,
Yeah.
is a great like Dave Grohl moment.
yeah. But it also is one of those things where he opens his mouth and I'm like, man, I think you're kind of a little dumb. Cause like like have you ever heard him talk about guitar before? How he thinks about guitar?
Dave Grohl?
Yeah.
Oh, like drums, right? Isn't that like
What a fucking moron.
fucking drummers, dude. I can't stand them.
He's
He
like,
dropped out of school. Like, there's plenty of evidence that he's dumb.
yeah, it's like it works for him, and I love the music. But like he talks, he's like, well, the low strings are like the bass drum, and then these are like the cymbals, and I'm like, oh god, fuck.
Yeah.
And then whenever that clip comes up where he talks about like stealing shit from disco, I'm like, I get it. But then the examples that he gives, I'm like, yeah, I mean, yeah, kinda, but like. I mean, it's like if you were to hear some like if you were to hear Glenn Coachy say like, yeah, I stole everything from Iron Maiden or some shit. It's like maybe maybe in your head that's where it's all coming from, but nowhere else on paper is that
Yeah,
making.
yeah.
I'm not following any of that.
Yeah,
But that's not to say that I still love everything that he's done the same way. But
Yeah.
it's just like this explanation isn't working for me.
you don't have to talk about it, Dave.
Okay, so I couldn't do any of this without not putting Between the Buried and Me on here. Between the Buried and Me is my favorite band. I'm wearing a shirt because of what we're doing. That's I'm wearing Between the Buried and Me shirt. And I think this was also very difficult for me to choose a song because a lot of it is the prog thing, where it's
Yeah.
just like, hey, what? Like you're playing the guitar part, but on drums. Like
Yeah,
that's not.
It's just a part, right?
Yeah, but the song "White Walls" is particularly it's a deep song. There's a lot you could find throughout it. That's just like there's so many parts, so many sections, and this is inevitably obviously where I landed on a drum fill here, because I think that this is a perfect example of this is how you actually use a fill to get from section to section, and then we can also play the game again of which fill am I talking about.
Yeah. Message received.
It's always the last one. That's
Yeah.
always what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But I mean, like the way that lands and then hits, like as soon as they crash in, the guitars hit right after that fill. I mean, I dare you to not instantly start headbanging
Yeah.
after that, right? That's the perfect way to start you into a dun, 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 right? It's absolutely perfect.
Crazy, dude.
Yeah, I mean, this band was something that for me, I just fell in love with like almost immediately, and it's taken me time to just overall like take in every single piece of it, and I still find myself listening back to old stuff and going, God, he's just so fucking smart. Like this is just, I say that he's like Johnny Bravo. He's like big dumb like muscle dummy dude, but behind the kit, he's just a fucking genius.
Yeah.
like that's just great fucking playing.
I wish that one thing about prog, I guess prog metal as a genre, that I don't know, I haven't really been able to get into a bunch of bands because of prog metal vocals.
Are you not a fan of screaming?
I think it can be done well,
Sure.
but even when it's done well, it's like, Meshuggah
Mm-hmm.
is incredible.
right.
Like, any individual song could be turned into a clinic,
Right.
but the singer has one tone.
Yeah, for sure.
And by
yeah.
the third Meshuggah song, like, I'm trying to learn patterns here. Could you relax?
Could you shut the fuck up
Could you
for
go
a
drink
second?
some water or something?
Yeah, I think I like as far as like a lot of those bands go, I think that it if you're not like a fan of screaming or on the flip side like really high singing, then prog metal's just not gonna click the way it should.
That's why I love Animals.
Yeah.
I mean, because
Animals Leaders is a perfect example of just like, hey, this is just how we do prog metal. This is just the perfect parts. It's all instrumental and all that kind of stuff. That's why I love Pliny too.
Yeah, right,
Pliny does the
right.
same type of shit. So,
Plenty's so
yeah, I mean, I think, and that's the thing too with like, I was super thankful. Like, I think screaming was this really great in between for me, where I was like, I love the sound of, I love a good voice. I went to school for singing, for classical voice, right? And so I'm a very particular person when it comes to the voice and what I like. But when it comes to screaming, it's this really incredibly difficult art form if you're going to do it right.
Right.
And it's percussive. It's like the percussive way to use your voice,
Yeah.
because there is pitch, but that's not the point, right? It's way more about the impact that it's making, like phrasing wise,
I like
and how it
the
hits.
sound. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you ever listen to the only prog metal band that I've been able to get into, like, get past the vocals because I actually like the vocals, is The Contortionist.
Yeah, they're great. Yeah.
I mean, the same person who showed me that the first Gavin Harrison fill I've ever heard showed me Language.
Yeah.
And
First two songs off Language are insane. But
it's life-changing
but
stuff, dude.
do you like the album before Language? I forget what it's called.
Exoplanet?
Do you like that one?
Is that so? Language was my was my way in because not only like the vocals were a barrier, but also Exoplanet is just like it's a different. It's like it's like almost a different subgenre.
When they released the remaster of Exoplanet, I fell in love with it. I didn't really like it originally, but the remaster like reopened it to me, like just to my ears, and I was like, man, like Contortionist and Between the Buried and Me have shared plenty of bills together, and it
Right.
makes perfect fucking sense when you listen to Exoplanet and when you listen to Language too, but more so in the Exoplanet context, and it would make sense that that's not your favorite thing either there. So, but I mean, if that's the case, you should check out Between the Buried and Me's album Coma Eclectic.
Okay.
Yeah, because that's their prog rock record. It's metal still, but they were pulling from all of their like 70s prog inspiration
I
to make
see.
that record. And he sings for most of it. He screams for some, but he sings for most of it. The lead guy is also the keyboard player. It's definitely his most shining record. The keys are the best on it. His vocals are the best on it. It's a great for people who aren't like super into like my wife likes that album. She doesn't she doesn't like
That's how you know.
yeah. right. Okay, so for my last one, I had to think about like kind of more in the last few years where like drumming was a big thing for me, and there was a point in time where I was like a lot of drummers and like a lot of musicians were sucked into that neo soul craze for a while, right? There's a band Hiatus Coyote.
Yeah.
They're incredible.
Yeah.
And I like instantly was like, I think this song, like, this is actually the one that I put on my list first, was this song right here. And this song is probably one of like the like heaviest examples of like neo soul, right? And the fill on here I think is it's not a guessing game which fill it is, but it is absolutely gnarly. I love this song, love this band, Swamp Thing. What the fuck?
Yep. Yes, sir.
What the fuck is that?
That is understanding of Subdivision.
Yes.
To a ridiculous degree.
That is absolute understanding of Subdivision, and also like to place it perfectly after that keyboard run.
Yeah.
The key, it's
Over the bar line in like five, like a quintuple shuffle.
yeah,
Dude.
absolute like this band is just geniuses. They're just amazing musicians.
This, have you ever, okay, so what's his name? Sean Crowder?
Yeah,
Sungazer?
yeah.
Has a Spotify playlist that's just like quintuple and septuple shuffle songs. And dude, there's so much.
What a nightmare.
But, well, I mean, honestly, half of it is just like, just chill grooves that are like,
Oh, sure, okay, yeah.
It's like kind of like that, where it's just more
Right.
groove oriented. But then there's stuff like, I don't know if I'm saying his name right, Tigran.
Oh, Tigran
Yes.
Hamasyan. Yeah.
That's another. That's like the heavier side of.
That is the only instance where you can hear just a piano and go, is this a metal band?
Right.
Like-
I'm actually working on. It sounds like a bit, but I'm working on a cover of Cars.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's so
it's
cool.
gonna be a lot of fun.
But yeah, I mean, hearing this kind of thing at the time of the neo soul craze, people were just. I felt like at the time people were just doing crazy shit for the sake of crazy shit, and it wasn't really like hitting the mark. This song was like this was groove. This like up to this point, you mostly hear that same groove that was leading up. There's a little bit of a chorus, but it's not much. It's pretty much just the whole song, and then all out of nowhere he hits you with that. Yeah.
It's crazy.
And he continues right back. It's not like some big stop, some big crash. He's just right back into the groove.
Yeah, just to get you over the bar line.
Exactly. Yeah. It's a brilliant use of that kind of stuff.
Very cool, man.
Yeah.
Who is that drummer?
God, I wish I knew his name. I should have prepared that one.
He's my
yeah.
favorite Phil of all time. No idea.
No,
idea
I don't.
what his name is.
I can't remember any of the members of. I can't remember the singer's name, and she had a solo career that was really good, but I can't remember her name either. But
Anybody in the chat?
no, I can look it up. But yeah, I mean, that whole band is just full of stupid good musicians.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are my five.
Yeah, no, that's great. That gave me kind of like Questlove vibes.
Yeah,
almost.
for sure.
That sort of that hi-hat that makes you feel like you're not sure what's happening
Yeah.
is one of my favorite things.
You ever heard of the Philadelphia Experiment?
Mm-mm.
It's a single album. Like the band did one album. Questlove is the drummer. I don't know any of the other members, but like some of the best bass tone I've ever heard, like on an album.
Okay.
You know, next to like Thundercat or like
Yeah.
you know, without getting into like Jaco territory or
Right.
anything crazy
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
But like, dude, Philadelphia Experiment's really cool.
Okay. Drummer is Perrin Moss,
Oh,
which interestingly,
you can remember that?
the bass player's name is at least I'm maybe his name is Paul Bender, but the drummer also has credit for playing bass
Oh, of course.
and also has credit for playing keys. But they
Drummers.
have a keyboard player who's doing all the other stuff. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah.
Stay in your lane. I'm just kidding. I feel like that happens more with drummers because, like, you know, drummers being multi-instrumentalists because you can only, you know, if you sit on a drum set for 45 minutes, I get tired. I get tired of the sound of a drum set without any chords or, you know, any pitch related.
Yeah, exactly.
things. So like, I feel like
No harmonic movement. It's tough.
I
yeah.
feel like we just get bored and start picking up other shit.
Yeah, I definitely like drums was my last instrument that I picked up.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I was very like I found myself like, oh wow, I love this instrument so much. But then I was like, I'm gonna keep playing guitar and piano
Yeah,
and bass and
that's
all
cool,
that. Yeah, so
That's cool.
All right. I mean, that's
That was-
15 drum fills or 50, depending on how you count. You know?
right, yeah, exactly, yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, everything's vastly different, which is what I assumed bringing this crew together.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Was it's coming from a similar place for a lot of it, which I found pretty interesting. But I think drums works out that way.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times there tends to be some like high watermark
yeah,
guys,
yeah.
and then everybody's like, I'm gonna do that.
Well, and like I had a hard time not putting. I had Bonham on my list originally.
Sure.
I had Dazed and Confused on my list. I was like, this has to go here. But I
How you feel about Tool is how I feel about Zeppelin.
I totally get it.
You're right.
I totally get it. For me, I had a new appreciation of the Taylor Hawkins and Dave Grohl drum sound after falling in love with Led Zeppelin. I was like, and my love for Led Zeppelin definitely like faded, but not my love for Bonham. I love his playing so much, and I think it says something that there's a Phil named the Bonham
Right,
triplet.
yeah.
Like it says something that it's like this is that kind of serious that this like he's done so much for especially for rock drums, right?
Yeah.
I think that would be kind of where the line is drawn, is that like he didn't do much outside of just like rock drums, but he did a lot for that. Yeah.
So I feel like, oh, sorry.
Oh, just say rock instrumentation's a wild thing in the fact that like drum set as we know it now comes about in the 30s.
Right. Yeah.
Like it's not
Oh, yeah.
it's not that old in
not.
the grand scheme of music.
Yeah.
So I did an episode on bass tones. Electric bass is 1951.
Right.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Like that's when electric bass started.
Crazy.
So it's like it's a small time frame
Right.
for things to get so far.
Yeah.
If you think about
51 was electric bass.
yeah, it's wild.
Lark's Tongues and Aspic was 73. That's
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah.
Sorry. That's
Yeah.
insane.
So just the progression these instruments have made
Right.
Yeah.
through.
Yeah.
I mean, because if you think about John Bonham's drum sound that you get from there to, what was it, Blake Richardson
Mhm.
between Buried
Yeah.
Maybe?
Yeah.
Like, couldn't be more different
No, couldn't.
drum sounds.
Yeah.
But on an instrument that's not even been around 100 years.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and you listen to I think that Dave Grohl is going to be the biggest example for my Bonham connection. But even still, like I was picking my fills and I was like, there's a lot of linear fills here. That is and what is a Bonham triplet again? It's linear, isn't it? Shit.
I mean, I think, dude, that's why I love. I've always been more partial to. I mean, if you can call it that, Danny Carey triplets,
Sure.
as
Yeah.
opposed to Bonham triplets, because like he'll do like single stroke and then both kicks.
Oh, sure.
And
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
concept alone has carried him through so many songs, like the song Anima,
Mhm.
Learn to Swim, that whole like
Yeah.
he's just
That's great.
and
yeah.
then putting the polyrhythm on top of it, which is why it sounds so crazy. But
right.
like,
yeah.
you know, Vicarious, all the Big Tool songs, he uses that so well across
Yeah.
the board that it's just like it's a great tool.
Yep.
Yeah, fair.
All right, that's gonna wrap us up for tonight.
To end on that,
You got to end
damn.
on that. It was
Damn.
a perfect
All
landing
right.
place.
Fair
Jonah,
enough.
thanks for coming out.
Thank you for
Talk
having
about.
me.
Make sure if you're listening and watching us, go check out Captain Moon with the Silver Spoons.
Do it.
Dream Fever and both sides, and it feels weird to go check out Twig Eaters.
Twig Eaters, yeah.
I don't think we're on any recorded material, but
Not yet. Probably
Not yet.
soon. I think soon he's gonna
I
do it.
hope. Hagen, what do you want to plug? You work for me. That's what you're plugging today. So,
I literally only want to plug the thing that you're already listening to or watching. So
There you go.
Yeah. So I mean, if you're watching, listening, go if you
Make
haven't
sure
already.
you're watching.
Follow, subscribe on all the things that we're on. We're on all the socials. We're over on Blue Sky now too, which is just yeah, who cares? But we're on all the socials too, so go follow us on all of those. If you're listening right now and you haven't followed, subscribed, whatever on whatever app you're using, go do that too, because hey, it helps us. It's free. Please do it.
perfect. All right, thanks for doing this, guys. We'll see you back in a few weeks.
Bye. Do you want the button or just no?
Just get us out of it. Get us out of it.
We're done. Bye.
Bail.